Good evening, everyone. Hi. In the interest of time, I think we'll start our event right away and we'll just keep adding our audience as they enter. We had hoped that we'll start by about 7:10, but I think we have just about 2 minutes. So let's get started. Okay. Good evening once again, and a very warm welcome to another exciting event, the way I like to call it, brought to you by Mumbai Storytellers Society. My name is Shalini Bajaj Surve. I'm a member of MSS and a storyteller. I'm joined this evening by my colleagues and co-founders of Mumbai Storytellers Society, Usha Venkatraman, who will not come on screen, and Hema Subramanian.
Hi.
Just a little background about Mumbai Storytellers Society. We are a not-for-profit organization established about 3 years ago. We were established with a vision to increase the reach and spread of the traditional art of oral storytelling. And in our journey to fulfill this vision, MSS organizes monthly events around new themes, concepts, and innovative ideas, bringing together storytellers and performers, you, the loving audience, so that we may enjoy this wonderful traditional art form. This evening, we have another new innovative concept, which we have tried before. And we're here to play an Antakshari of stories. We are here for Kathakshari. And this is our third season of Kathakshari. Before we introduce the game, the participants, and the exciting rules, here are a few quick house rules. Our dear audience, please keep your mic on mute at all times. You can keep your video on as long as it's not going to disturb our tellers. And this is purely so that you can enjoy an immersive experience. If you wish to share your views, you have any questions for our storytellers, please type it in the chat box. The moderator will address it after the stories are narrated. Now, without any further delay, because it is 7:10 on the dot, let me call upon Hema Subramanian, my colleague, who can explain to us the rules of Kathakshari, what's going to happen, and she is also the game moderator for this evening. Thank you, and over to you, Hema.
Thank you, Shalini. And here I go. Okay, we're coming back with Kathakshari again, and people who have watched our earlier Kathakshari know that usually we follow a pattern where we tell a story, and the last word is picked up, and the next teller picks up the word and goes ahead with the story, with their story. They connect their story to the word that was the last word spoken by the previous storyteller. So we are going to follow that, but we are also having a second round. So first and foremost, let me tell you the flow of the events. Like first, we're going to start with a box full of names here of all the tellers who had registered for the event. So we're going to pull out the names so that we know the sequence of event, like how the sequence, in what sequence the storyteller is going to go in. And after that, we start with our rounds. Round one is going to be how we are going to catch the last word and take it forward from there. And then round two is going to be where you're going to have a random word. It is a feeling word, and the tellers have to pick up that feeling and tell their story based on that. And the theme for the whole evening today is love theme, because we've just crossed Valentine's Day and we are still not totally out of that mood. So we would really love to share love stories. So that is going to be the theme. So all the stories are going to be based on the theme of love. But we are going to have two different rounds and we are going to go ahead. So let me without any further delay, announce the names so that Shalini has a time to put them on the chat in the sequence that I'm calling out, and then I will go ahead and tell you the rules for round one, right? And yes, and then there will be, like, when we are going to the rounds, we'll tell you when the buzzer will sound, how long you'll have to tell the story. All those will come later. So first and foremost, let me just call out the names in what sequence they would come. There are a few tellers who have registered and have not yet come in here. So if their name comes up, we are going to skip that and go to the next teller, right? Yeah, the first teller for today would be Arati Purohit. She's not here. Okay, let us go ahead with the next teller, and that teller is Sarika Vyas. So Sarika goes in first, and then next goes Jaya Balantarupu, and third teller would be Priyanka Adhikari. Hi Priyanka. Hi all of you all. And then Tripti. Is Tripti here? Tripti Kalra. If she's here, then she will go in next. And then we have Parul Wagh and Shilpa Mehta. Yeah. So, Shalini, have you been able to put it up on the chat box? Yeah. Okay. Great. While she's up to it, I'll just go ahead and explain the rules for round one. Round one is going to be a time for telling the stories. Only for 2 minutes will be given to you, and there will be a 30 seconds prep time. The prep time is to connect the last word spoken by the previous teller, so that you can connect that word to your story, the story that you have come prepared with, or you come thinking about what you're going to share here, right? So to start this round, I would start with a story. I would tell you a story, and I would start with the story, and Shalini will ring the buzzer at one point, and I stop at that word, and the first teller picks up that word, takes a 30 seconds to prep, and then goes ahead with her story. Once it is 2 minutes, Shalini will again ring the buzzer, and you will have to stop, finish your sentence, and stop wherever you are. And the last word spoken by you will be the word that will be picked up by the next teller to go ahead with their story. And this continues for round one. Is it clear? Yeah, shall we go ahead? Yes. So there I go. I start with my story. Long ago, King Avanti Kumar, the ruler of Puran Putla, went out into the plains to hunt for deer. They ventured deep into the forest, and they went quite deep into the forest, and they were roaming around, but they were not very lucky with deer that day. Suddenly a rogue of elephants came and attacked them, and the whole troop got disrupted, and in the process the king was separated from all his people who were guarding him. Nobody was with him, and he was left alone in the forest and completely scattered. He wandered for about many hours without food or water, and then he was getting very tired. Just then he saw a hut that was surrounded by beautiful garden, blossoming with flowers of all colors, and amidst that garden there stood a woman, a beautiful woman, dressed in the simplest of clothes, yet so elegant and graceful. His heart raced, and he felt some strange feelings gush through him. Just then, she lifted her eyes to look up at him. So the word Sarika is eyes. You have 30 seconds prep time, and
I'll ring the buzzer at 30 seconds. We're starting now.
yeah. Sarika, you're on mute.
Will I know when the 30 seconds are up?
Yeah,
Now?
is this about?
Around.
Yeah, we can start your story.
His big, glossy, beautiful eyes. That was Tad. Tad, a Boston Terrier, a dog breed, was an adorable puppy. We had adopted him while we were visiting our daughter Kyla. Every morning when Kyla used to go out for work, Dad used to be at the gate seeing her off, and Dad used to be the one greeting her while she returned home from work. In short, he had grown fond of her. Days passed and we came back home with Dad, of course. Once home, every time we called Kyla or she called us, we always put Dad on. He scratched the phone and listened intently and tried to look into the phone to see her, to see Kyla. Days passed and we came back home. Days passed. On a Saturday, Kyla called when we were out. She left a message. Dad was standing beside me when I pressed the button to listen to the message. He listened to her talking and cocked his head, grinning at me. I played it again for him. When the message came over again, he dropped back on the floor and listened to it happily. One afternoon, I realized he started to press the button and kept listening to it over and over again, till I deleted it one day. Later that day, he stood with his feet on the edge of the table and pressed the button again. The machine said, "You have no messages." He walked around the other side of the table and repeated the process and got irritated to the core after listening to, "You have no messages." He came running to me and ran back to the answering machine, waiting for me to do something. Amazed as I was. That night I called Kyla and asked her to call Dad and leave him a message. Leave him a message and saying that she misses him too. While I explained that has been going on in the house since the time we've come back from home.
Sarika, your time's up. So I think the word is home, and we move to our next teller, Jaya. And Jaya, your 30 seconds start now.
Sarika reached home, and the sight in front of her made her very sad, and actually she was sort of taken aback. Yesterday only Granny was talking to her. She spoke to her, and one night what happened? Now Granny was on the floor, sleeping happily, with a big smile on her face, garlanded and with a lamp at her head, and all relatives, her grandpa, her father, mother, brother, everybody sitting quietly around the body of her granny. Sarika went inside and asked, "What happened? What happened to Granny?" Nobody said anything. Her mother got up and she said, "Sarika, Granny had a heart attack. She was talking to us. Next moment, she's just gone. Just be happy that she went without any suffering." But Sarika just couldn't take it. She came with so many plans. She wanted to surprise everybody, but not. This is not the surprise she was expecting from her granny. So she went and sat in a corner. One by one, all her friends, all her college friends came, and they all sat quietly with her. Because Granny is very popular among all her friends. They all grew up with Sarika from school days, eating her murukus and all the sweets made by Granny. Because she was never partial towards Sarika. With all her friends, she used to feed all her friends, whatever time they came. She was always there with a big smile on her face. That is Granny. And then, okay, everything is done. The 10th day, her grandpa was sitting alone in his room and in tears. When Sarika went and sat next to him, he said, "One wish she had, which I never fulfilled. She wanted to be a dancer and she wanted to show her dance to the whole world, which I never allowed."
Jay, your time is up. And I think it was when Grandpa entered and the word was sat. The word, therefore, sat moves to the next teller, Priyanka. Priyanka, I am going to start your prep time now. You have 30 seconds.
Sat on the chair, she walked down to the aisle, decorated in her most beautiful white gown. There he was, standing at a far distance, watching her come closer. The cherry trees and the marigold flowers all danced and mellowed by their motions. But where is the ring? Someone screeched from behind their seats and winked. Oh dear, somebody go get the wedding rings. The clocks are ticking faster. The voices roared and shivered in panics and alarms. The bride was known as Daniela, and the groom was Marquel from the country of Venezuela. Children were they when they fell in pure love. Today, they blossomed like angels to be bound in holy matrimony in front of their true father. Who knew that life would tear them apart? But the kingdom of heaven was alive and stood stagnant by their side. The birds chirped their ways into the church, singing melodious songs of love. We have got the ring, we have got the ring. They soared in their high-pitched twitters. The father walked in with the daughter and neared the priest, while the groom whispered in his mind, "Oh, my bride looks marvelous. How lucky I am to be loved by my dream woman." The crowds stood glorified and smiled amidst their pure wonders and waited. The priest began the pouring of his blessings on the holy children and the lovers of passion. Soon, the lovers of glory vowed in the name of God. At last, it was time. The priest announced, "You may kiss the bride." Now I pronounce
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you. Thank you. Your time was up. I think the word that we ended with was God. And that's the word that goes on to our next teller, Parul. Yeah, Parul, I'm giving you your 30 seconds starting now. Go back.
Everywhere. No, I have met him. And you will get how. I met someone who gave me a vision to see God in little things of everyday life. of the new shoot which grows in my pots and the new flower that blossoms in my balcony garden. And when I visit those plants every single morning, I usually sing them a love song. Your home is in my heart, in my heart. My heart is like an ocean, like an ocean. I'll rock you while you're sleeping, on a wave of sweet devotion, sweet devotion. So the songs of love that were given to me, I transfer that love to those plants, and I know they listen to me. Various kinds of bougainvilleas and roses and desert rose and hibiscus, I meet them every morning. When I descend the stairs and walk to have around the building, or just meet up my friends, or go to meet Arav, my nephew, with song in my ears again. My love for songs, my love for plants, my love for roses. I have got that from the love for nature, from my parents and my grandparents and my great grandparents. So it is a love which has been trickled down from generations. I feel so blessed. And when we are celebrating these love stories, the month of February, every day is a month of love for me. Every day I find something to love.
Thank you, Parul. You ended with one of the most beautiful words at 2 minutes, which is love. So I think, Shilpa, as the next teller, you're really lucky because that word is like the most blessed word, I would say. Thank you for your story, Parul. Shilpa, your word is love, and your 30 seconds start now.
Love, a beautiful feeling which cannot be defined. Ria was sitting in her balcony sipping her tea, and all of a sudden, she found that a boy was trying to pluck a rose from her garden. Instead of stopping him, she thought, okay, today is Valentine's Day. He must be picking it up for her girlfriend. And her mind raced to the years long ago when she was in school. The memory is still fresh in her mind. It was the first day of a coaching class. When she entered the class, she saw the seat vacant next to a handsome boy. Her heart fluttered. She sat next to him, totally oblivious of the surroundings. She just felt that the class should never end. And when the class got over, her friends called loudly, "Get up, the class is over." And she came out of a reverie. Embarrassed, she took her bag and rushed out of the class. All of a sudden, she heard a voice from behind. "Excuse me, you left your book in the class." While taking the book from him, her hand touched hers, and a strong current was felt by her. She ran, blushing and smiling all through her way. And every day she waited for that chemistry class. But unfortunately, 2 months later, her father got transferred to another city. She didn't have the courage to talk to him or even share her feelings. And when she left the city, the feeling of that first love lingered with her even after many years. So as they say, you never forget your first love or your first crush. In her mind, Rahul was Ria's first crush forever.
Thank you. Thanks. My God, Shilpa. That was like I
That
never
was a wonderful ending, isn't it, Shalini, for the whole round? It completed the story and it completed the whole round. That was fantastic. So thank you, Shilpa.
lovely.
And yeah, thank you, sorry. Yeah, 1 minute. Okay, that was wonderful. And now let's go on to the next round. And I'll
Sure.
just read out the rules for the. Yeah, you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, and this is just a little bit of an interlude before we start round two, because I think we want to give our tellers a little while. Gulp, have a little sip of water. You've got to get ready for another edge of the seat exciting
Yes.
round. But what I loved about all our stories and parts of the stories that we heard, Hema, is that it's so all encompassing, this beautiful feeling, right from first love to that love that you experience at the church during a wedding, to the love that you have for your grandparents, love for nature, love for your pet, to the point that in the absence of a person, just the mere voice can trigger those beautiful feelings. So very well done, all our tellers. It's not easy. And I think you guys did a brilliant, brilliant job. So big pat on the back for all of y'all for round one. Exciting stories. I'm sure all our audience want to know the end of the stories. So aram se, fursat se, maybe we will know where the story goes.
I also feel that it is left to their imagination to finish the stories the way that they wanted to, right? So, but the second round is not going to disappoint our audience, and we are going to have a complete story in the second round. So look forward to that. So I go ahead and announce the
Yes, Hema,
second
go
round?
ahead. Please, Hema.
Awesome. So, yes, the second round, this round is going to be slightly different from the first round, where there are going to be a box of words here. These are all emotion words, okay? So, the theme is still going to be love, and we are going to go ahead with the love theme, but the whole thing is going to be, the story has to be related to this emotion somewhere or the other, and it is good if you use the word in your story somewhere. This story, for this time around, you will have 3 minutes to complete your story, and I think 30 seconds to think about and connect to the story, right? The word to the story. And so let's go ahead with that. And the story can be a known story, a made up story, whatever way, but the story has to have an ending. In this story has to have an ending. It has to be a complete story, right? So shall we go ahead? Ready?
The sequence of the teller stays the same. Sarika to start first. That we're not changing. Abhi fir se we're not going to draw the lots. We know
Yes.
the sequence. Our storytellers are ready. Go ahead, Hema. Start pulling out those gorgeous words.
I think let Sarika come on the screen, or I'll just pull out the first word. It's compassion. It's compassion. Okay? So great. Yeah.
Sarika, your 30 seconds start now.
All right, I'll go ahead with my story.
Great.
Okay, so I'm starting your 2 minutes then. Please start.
Good evening, everyone. And the word that I've got is compassion. My story, it's not my story. It is written by Miss Anjali Diman, and I have just tweeted it a bit. So here it goes. The clock struck 10, and it was time for me to say goodbye to Sukanya. My eyes were still swollen. I had been crying for the last 3 days, ever since Sukanya had told me about her transfer to Kolkata. though it was a request transfer, as she wanted to be with her family as they needed her. I, on the other hand, was miserable. After all, she was the only one I had in Mumbai. Well, the train signaled to start, and a tear rolled down my eye. I hugged her and bid her goodbye with a very heavy heart. The train started moving, and so did my thoughts. I stood there on the platform, and the past years started to play in flashback in my mind's eye. It was the year of 2004. A batch of 70, we had just joined our company. We all had come from different parts of the country, of course, from different cultures. Within a few days, I realized somehow that I was detested by most of the people in the batch because of my liberal thoughts, maybe. Because of this, my roommate also swapped her room with Sukanya. Sukanya was different from others. She didn't pretend to be someone she was not. She was a simple person. I belonged to Dehradun and I was in Mumbai because of a guy called Pratyush. He too was from Dehradun and he was someone who, if he had wings, would look like an angel. And I was mere mortal who was madly in love with this angel. But the angel decided to dump the human and disappeared into thin air. After crying buckets and praying to every god and goddess I knew, somehow I found out that he was in Mumbai and decided to come here as well. From the day I landed in the city, I tried to talk to him, but he did not relent. One day I got a mail from him saying that I shouldn't bother him anymore and also shouldn't expect any help from him. I used to listen to sad songs. Similarly, one such morning, Sukanya had decided that she had had enough. She asked me to stand on my own feet and just, forget the Pratyush guy who didn't even care if I lived or died. Sukanya was my friend, colleague, mother, guide, sister, critique, well-wisher, all rolled into one. If I was ever able to survive in Mumbai, it was because of Sukanya. She had prepared me to face challenges head on. I had become stronger.
Times.
Thank you.
Hema, do you want to hear the end of the story? I can't hear you, Hema. A little later. Can't hear you, Hema.
Maybe you can just give her 1 more minute to end the story, but your time's up. So that way, yes.
All right.
Go ahead,
Thank you so
Sarika.
very
You
much.
have
Much appreciated.
minute.
So the story says that Sukanya was not physically present with me, unfortunately, in Mumbai, but she had prepared me to face my challenges head on. I had become stronger and I was not afraid of what people are thinking about me if I'm doing the right thing. By Anjali Dhiman. Thank you so much.
Lovely.
Thank you. Lovely story, Sarika.
Thank you so much. So, yes, we go ahead and without much ado, pull out the next word for the next teller. And the next teller is Shalini, who's a.
Jaya. Jaya is our next teller.
So, Jaya, your word is empathy. Empathy.
Your 30 seconds start now, Jaya.
ஆமா ஸோ டியூஸ்டே தான் வரும்போது
Please start your story, Jaya. 3 minutes.
This is a small story I read on WhatsApp long ago. So dialogues and all I just made up. Yeah. One day, a small boy was walking down the road. He was slowly walking around, looking at the trees and the road and suddenly he came across a huge house surrounded with a big garden. And at the gate, he found a notice in which says pups first say. So the boy stood looking at the board for some time, and then slowly he went in and rang the bell hastily. A middle-aged man came out and he said, "Yes, what can I do?" He said, "My name is James, and I looked at the board and I want to see if I can buy any pup for myself." The owner looked at him and he said, "But they are very expensive. I don't think you'll have that much money." He said, "Okay, but can I just have a look at them?" He said, "Why not?" So he whistled, and then 3, 4 pups, white and just like, so fluffy and all, they came running. And this boy got so excited because they started going around him, sniffing at his feet and everything. And he just sat down playing with them. And after some time, he looked at them very fondly and he said, "But you said these are expensive?" He said, "Yes, these are expensive." And he said, "No." He said, No, definitely you can't buy them with your pocket money. I know what are your plans, but sorry, these are, they are of very good breed. So I can't, they are not very cheap. You can't buy with your money, but you can play for some time and then leave. He said, "Okay." And he just sat there playing with them. And suddenly he looked up. There was another small pup trying to come out of the kennel, coming out, falling, and then dragging his feet. He started coming. And then, with a lot of excitement, he came and starting, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," and he went all over James. And he looked at him, and then he suddenly looked at and he said, "Wow, I think he's my friend. He loves me. The way he came to me, I think he loves me. I want this one." The man looked at him and he said, Okay, that one you want. But I don't think you will be happy with him because he can't run with you. You see, his one leg is lame. He can't run with you, and it's no joy having a pup which can't run with you. But the boy looked at him and he said, No, but I want to buy this one." Then the man looked at him and said, "Oh, you want that one? Okay, then you can just keep it." He said, "Why? Why you're not selling this?" He says, No, he's not worth."
3 minutes are up, Jaya. Thank you for your story. If you can just complete it in the next 1 minute, like we gave Sarika the opportunity. If you can just do that, please.
He says, "I want to buy it," but he says it's a lame one, so you can just have it. He says, "No." Then he shows his foot. He says, "See, even I have a lame foot. And I think this will be a good company to me. And he is worth everything, whatever. So I am going to pay for him and take him." That's it. Thank you so much.
Love.
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
because of empathy.
Thank you.
You can understand only when you go through that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jaya.
Thank you so much, Jaya. Thank you for the lovely, lovely story. And next teller, Shalini, just spotlight the next teller.
Yeah,
I fill out the card in that time. Yes. Okay, Priyanka. Priyanka, your word is appreciation. Appreciation. And I think 30 seconds. Shalini, you start.
Please start your 3-minute story, Priyanka.
Good evening, everyone. So this story has been written by me, and it's called "Love in the Time of Instagram." So hope you all enjoy. Let's begin. Okay, There was a young man called Krishna. His heart was full of love and kindness. As he was browsing on the internet one day, his eyes fell on a young woman called Rukmini. The moment Krishna saw her, his likeness instantly grew. It was not love at first sight, but it was admiration at first sight. The feeling was different and so divine. One day, Krishna tagged Rukmini in Instagram post to gain her attention. When Rukmini saw that post, she felt a desire to meet Krishna, as she too felt love and friendship at first sight. Rukmini took the courage to send a direct message to Krishna. Hi, I am Rukmini. Thank you for tagging me. I was wondering if you would like to meet me in person. After receiving the message, Krishna replied as a token of gratitude and appreciation of her boldness. Hi, Rukmini. I am Krishna. Yes, I would love to meet you in person. I have always liked you from a distance, but now it is time to meet. Let's fix a time at 11:30 a.m. near the St. Paul's Cathedral Garden Lawn. I'll see you tomorrow. Krishna replied and informed. Rukmini was so excited to meet Krishna. She wore her beautiful purple dress and went to meet Krishna on Wednesday. The day arrived. Krishna was waiting for Rukmini. As she arrived, Krishna's tenderness for Rukmini had no boundaries. They instantly fell in love and became lifetime lovers and companions. Krishna dated Rukmini for about a year and a half and later married her on Christmas morning. Oh, it was the happiest and the most peaceful fairy tale wedding of their lifetime. Life became truly magical and they lived happily ever after. The end.
Lovely.
Wow. Lovely, Priyanka. With a good 30 seconds to go. You have ended the story very, very well in time. And
So
we are also
beautiful.
truly
Here with
appreciative of you keeping the time. Very nice. Lovely story. A self-written
Thank
one,
you.
that too.
It was really, really, really beautiful.
Sharing
So thanks so much. Go ahead with the next stellar, Shalini. So let's get into the next stellar, and I'm going to pull out from this box. Okay, yeah, respect. The word is respect. So Parul, your word is respect. You have to connect your story to the word respect, to the feeling respect. Yeah.
The time starts now, Parul. 30 seconds prep time. Yes, Parul, please start your story. 3 minutes for you.
Lovely couple. Theirs was a love marriage. But you know what? They were poles apart. But they respected each other totally. Now you would ask how? The wife loved the sun, the crispiness of the chirpiness of the morning, and she would chant Aditya Hridayam. And husband, he would love to fall in love with the stars, gaping at the constellations, and wait for the moon and bask in the moonlight every night. But as I said, they respected each other's schedules. Once, what happened? Anand, the husband, had to travel to another village and off he went. His wife, Anoki, told him, "My dear, make sure you come on time. Please don't be late. I will wait for you at dinner." And so he went. But the village this time took more of his time schedule, and he got late and he got tired too. So he thought, why not I pause and take rest at my relative's home, which was in the middle of his on the way back home. And he noticed instead of resting inside the house of the relative, he slept on the cot. Now, there was a well near the house. And as he was lying down, he saw the moon. And he felt thirsty in the middle of the night. He thought, why should I disturb my relatives? Let them sleep. He quickly went near the well and fetched a pail of water. And do you know what he saw? Guess what? He saw the moon inside the well. Oh my! What is the moon doing inside the water? I must do something. Quickly he went to the relatives' back doors and pulled out a large thick rope with a hook attached to one of its end. And you must have guessed it right. He put that rope inside the well and heard a loud clang of the hook. He got happy. Oh, I think that hook has caught the moon. And he pulled and pulled and pulled and he fell back on the ground. Ah, he cried, I think I've broken my back. And as he lay down on the ground, breathing high, and opened his eyes. Can I complete?
Yes, please, Parul, go ahead.
Yeah, time's up, Parul, but complete, yeah.
He looked up, and what he must have seen? Yes, the moon is safely shining in the sky. He thought to himself, wow, I have saved the moon with God's grace, though I think I've broken my back. Thank you.
Thank you, Parul. Thank you for that lovely story.
Thank you. And the next teller, I think the final teller is Shilpa. And Shalini, if you can spotlight, I'll just pull out the word for Shilpa. Shilpa, your word is friendship. Friendship.
Your 30 seconds prep time start now, Shilpa. Please start your story.
Malhar was playing sitar like he did every day in his balcony. Just then, he heard the humming of a beautiful voice. He kept playing, enjoying the high and low notes of the voice in the adjacent balcony, in perfect sync with sitar. Same sequence of events continued for the next few days. On the fifth day, he found a cup of tea on each side of the common balcony of their common boundary of their respective balconies. This ritual of morning tea began only to be separated by a wall in between. Despite this new friendship, as he believed, they neither spoke nor met each other. After about 15 days, the voice stopped. Months passed. His attachment towards her kept growing, but there was no sign of her. Exactly a year later, she reappeared. His happiness knew no boundaries. The same ritual of singing and having tea together continued for 15 days. The bond of this friendship strengthened. The tacit code of conduct was in place, and he knew that he has to adhere to it. It continued for a few years, and suddenly it stopped. When he could not take it longer for more than 2 years, he mustered the courage and took her address from the neighbors. And one fine day, he decided to go and meet her friend, his faceless friend, whose image he had conjured up in his heart. only through her voice. He reached her place only to meet the man of the house. He introduced himself and he told her how he met his wife. It took him a moment to take in that she had left the world 2 years ago. Her husband told him, yeah, every year she used to go to Shimla to a flat and to be around nature, away from the hustle and bustle of Delhi. But I'm surprised about this tea thing because she always had coffee with me because I liked coffee. Malhar asked hesitantly, I wonder if she ever recorded any of her songs in her voice. Do you have any recordings? Recordings? Her husband was surprised. I gather she was not even a bathroom singer. Malhar looked at the garland photo of Arohi. He went inside and placed the bouquet in front of the photo as a respect of their friendship. And he offered deep condolences to her husband and left the house immediately before tears start flowing from his eyes. So sometimes you don't need many years to live together to know a person. Only a few beautiful moments are precious enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilpa.
About the time, I think so, Shalini.
The story ended a little earlier. Shilpa overshot by about 15 seconds, but not too much.
Okay. Great. But it was a beautiful, beautiful story. Yes, friendships and relationships are so deep, it can just be formed by a few days together and, moments spent together. And I guess that is what love is all about. And, there are different kinds of love. Like we have seen in all the stories presented today, there are so many different varieties of love and affection. So I think we have come to the end of round two, and we are back here. So I think looking at all the criterias and the round one and round two, and you look at all the stories and the time taken, and keeping in mind the theme and the word. So there is a clear winner in Priyanka. She's kept both the rounds were really done well. So, anyways, but everybody is just one step because I think of the story time that we all took time to finish our stories. That's the reason why. Otherwise, I think everybody was on par. That was fantastic, and thank you so much for registering and joining in for this fun-filled game of Kathakshari, which we really loved hosting. And thank you very much, audience, all the people who are in the audience who came here to took out time to listen and to enjoy the game along with us. So this whole thing, the whole event is live on YouTube, and we would, after the video gets prepped, we would keep it on YouTube, and tomorrow we will be putting up a post on Facebook which will connect to the YouTube link. So you can ask your friends and relatives or other storytellers to come and watch the fun game that we have had. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Shalini, for being this wonderful co-host and the wonderful timekeeper. And thanks to Usha for always being a support and always helping us go ahead. Usha, I don't know, I don't think she is there in the audience. She had joined in for some time. She's busy. Yeah, she's there. Usha, would you like to say a few words, or you're busy somewhere? I
Yeah,
think
hi
she's busy.
Hema. Hi everybody. A very good evening to all. It was a wonderful session. I did see the second half of Kathakshari, and kudos to each and every one of you. I really enjoyed it, and I think that's it. Have a great evening, and also, Hema, maybe you'll share it on the Vimeo as well.
Yes, I will. I
On
will.
our yeah. So do share the links with your friends and family, and see you soon.
Yes.
Yeah. Have a great night. Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Hema.
Thank you, Usha. Thanks a ton.